everyone.
Hello, boys and girls.
We're so glad to have you join us for another Story Hour session. Today, before Uncle Dan begins his story, here is a question for you. Do you have certain rules at home or at school which you're asked to obey or carry out?
Well, our story today is about rules, God's rules, which he wrote with his own finger on tablets of stone.
You will find today's story recorded in the Old Testament, the book of Exodus, chapters 19, 20, and 32.
And I'll simply call our story
The 10 Commandments. The children of Israel, fleeing Egypt, followed the leadings of the pillar of cloud by day and the fiery pillar of cloud by night. Across barren plains, over steep ascents, and through rocky passes they traveled. Through a deep, gravelly pass, they now approached Mount Sinai. It is a grand and impressive sight. Between the rocky cliffs, rising hundreds of feet on either side, flows a living tide. As far as the eye can see are the hosts of Israel with their herds and flocks. Before them, in solemn majesty, Mount Sinai lifts its massive front. The pillar of cloud now rests on the summit of Mount Sinai, and the people spread their tents on the massive plain below.
This is the most impressive, the most awesome sight I've ever seen.
With all the majesty and grandeur of these mountains and the rugged, enduring heights, one cannot help but feel his helplessness and his ignorance and weakness. Present here is he who made the mountains, and he who by his might all things have their being.
Soon after encamping at Sinai, Moses was called up into the mountain to meet with God.
Moses is to meet with God in the pillar of cloud on top of the mountain?
God is going to instruct Moses on how to incorporate Israel as a church and nation under the direct government of heaven.
But no one has ever talked to God before. Angels, yes, but not God.
We are a special people, chosen of God as his people. And Moses is the go-between between God the ruler and us, the subjects.
Alone, Moses climbed the steep and rugged path to the top of Sinai and drew near to the cloud that marked the place of Jehovah's presence. Later, Moses returned to camp.
Joshua, I wish to confer with the elders of Israel. Summon them immediately. Elders of Israel, I have just returned from the presence of Jehovah, the God of Israel. He instructed me to pass to you this message. Ye have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself. Now, therefore, if ye will obey my voice, and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people. For all the earth is mine, and ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests, and a holy nation. You are elders of Israel. You represent the people. What say you to this message?
All that the Lord has spoken, we will do.
You accept God as your ruler, your king?
We do.
Then God will keep his promise and make of us a great nation and a special people. Only we must always obey him and keep our covenant with him.
Once again, Moses was called into the cloud on the top of the mountain to talk with God. Once again, Moses returned to camp and assembled the 70 elders to tell them of all that had taken place on top of the mountain.
The Lord said to me, Moses, as you brought Israel out of Egypt, they were disposed to murmur against you and Aaron, accusing you of leading them in the wilderness to destroy them, so that thy people shall know that it was I who led them out of Egypt, and forever believe thee. I shall speak to them from a thick cloud.
The Lord is going to speak to us, directly to us.
In 3 days God shall speak to Israel. He shall speak the 10 precepts of his law.
Will God appear unto us?
God will be in the cloud. Only his glory, like devouring fire, will the people see. During the intervening days, Israel will prepare to appear before God. Let the people wash themselves and their clothes, that Israel may be free of impurity and sin. And Joshua, you will build a high fence completely around Mount Sinai, so that neither beast or man will intrude upon the sacred area. If any so much as touch it, the result will be instant death.
On the morning of the 3rd day, as the eyes of all the people were turned toward the mountain, its summit was suddenly covered with a thick cloud, which grew more black and dense, sweeping downward until the entire mountain was wrapped in darkness and awful mystery. Then the sound of a trumpet was heard.
My dear people, that is the signal to meet with God. We will move forward to the base of the mountain, but do not touch it on pain of instant death.
The mountain's on fire.
It is the Lord.
Smoke. Like the smoke of a furnace.
It is the glory of the Lord.
Mountain. It's shaking like a leaf in the wind.
And to Moses, even Moses is shaking and trembling with fear.
The voice of God was in the thunder and trumpet, saying, I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. The thunder and trumpet ceased for a short time. Then once again God spoke in the thunder. He spoke his 10 commandments, 10 brief, comprehensive, and authoritative commandments, covering the duty of man to God and his fellow men. All 10 based on the great principle of love. Moses then repeated each commandment.
Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, nor any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, and rested on the 7th day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor anything that is thy neighbor's.
In fear and awe, the people shrank away from the mountain. Moses again drew near unto the thick darkness where God was. There he received instructions as to the establishment of a nation with Jehovah as king.
Each tribe will erect an altar and a pillar beside it as a testimony to the acceptance of the covenant. Then I shall read the book of the covenant, and each individual shall choose for himself if he will or will not keep the covenant. Choose ye to obey or not to obey. All that the Lord has said will we do, and be obedient.
Joshua, a young man of many talents, was appointed minister to Moses.
You sent for me, sir? Yes, Joshua. God has called me once again to go up in the mountain to meet him. You, as my minister, are to accompany me.
Me, sir?
You, son.
Did God ask for me by name?
Of course.
God knows me?
Certainly. God knows all creatures by name. He numbers the very hair on your head. He knows when even a feather falls from a bird.
But this is different, sir. It's me. God asked for me personally by name.
You have a wonderful future, Joshua, my son, if you will continue to obey the precepts of God's law.
I will, sir.
I'm sure of it. However, if you forget, if you fail, if temptation becomes too great, you need do but one thing, and God will send a whole legion of angels to your aid, if need be.
Ask him?
That's right. Just ask him. But you do have to ask him. You have to be sincere about it, and you will receive the help you need, and more.
With that kind of help, I just can't fail.
And you're no more privileged than anyone. Everyone ever born into this world, or anyone who ever will be born, can have the same kind of help simply by asking for it. Always remember that, Joshua, my son.
I will, sir. I will.
Right now, though, I wish you'd locate Aaron and Hur. Tell them I wish to confer with them, and with the 70 elders yet today.
Yes, sir.
As all of you know, God has already called me up into the mountain several times. He has now called me once again. This time God said unto me, "Come up into the mount, and be there when I call thee. Thee and thy minister Joshua, and I will give thee tables of stone with the commandments that I have already spoken unto thee."
How long will you be gone, Moses?
That's what I want to talk about, why I've called this meeting. I'll probably be gone some little time, and you 70 elders will continue to function as you have in the past. Beyond that, Aaron will act in my place. Hur will assist him. Is that clear?
It is, sir.
Yes, we understand.
And Moses and Joshua went up into the mount, and the cloud covered the mount, and the glory of the Lord abode upon Mount Sinai.
Well, we'll wait here, Joshua.
Yes, sir.
We may as well sit down.
Yes, sir.
How long will we have to wait here?
Until the Lord calls me into his presence.
How long will that be, sir?
Well, Joshua, my son, however long it may be, I shall not grow weary of waiting or lose my patience.
I realize that, sir. I was just wondering how long it'd be, that's all.
Well, sin cannot enter into the presence of God or endure the exhibition of his glory. While waiting for the Most High to summon me into his presence, I shall prepare to meet him. I will meditate, pray, examine my heart, and seek purity of mind and of spirit.
You are not sinful, sir.
I was born in sin. All mankind is. Without complete purification, no man can stand in the holy presence of God.
We've been here 2 days, sir, and still God hasn't called you into his presence.
God knows best, Joshua, my son.
It's been 4 days, sir, and still God hasn't called you.
No, we mustn't get impatient.
It's the 6th day now, Moses, sir, and still God hasn't called you into his presence.
We must not grow weary of waiting or forsake our faith and trust in God.
While Moses and Joshua patiently waited on the mount for God's call, the people in the camp at the foot of the mount are becoming anxious and impatient.
I don't like this silence. Moses has been gone a week, and what's happened? Nothing. Nothing.
You must have more patience, my dear.
Patient? Huh. I've been patient a whole week. That cloud up there in the mountain, it hasn't moved or changed one iota in a whole week. It isn't natural. Something's wrong.
Well, now, what could be
Oh,
wrong?
100 things. Maybe Moses fell into a crevice and killed himself. Maybe God's cloud devoured him.
Now,
and maybe...
now, dear, don't be...
You know why Moses has been gone a week and no word's been heard from him?
Well, no.
Do you have any idea as to what has happened up there in the mountain?
No.
Well, then,
Well, what do you want me to do? Go up there in the mountain and try to find Moses?
something should be done.
What?
Something. Maybe someone should go to Aaron, talk to him about it.
It's not my place to talk to Aaron.
Someone should.
No. All right. If we don't hear from Moses in another week, I'll talk to Aaron.
Oh, you will?
I will.
The very next day, something did happen up in the mountain, which was witnessed by all Israel at the foot of the mount.
What is it?
Up in the mountain.
A light. A bright light.
It must be the glory of God.
Fire. The whole mountain is ablaze.
More days passed, and still nothing was heard from Moses and Joshua.
I tell you, something terrible has happened up there in the mountain.
And I tell you, we must be patient and wait.
Moses and Joshua were consumed by that fire. We could feel the heat clear down here. It's useless, silly to wait for Moses any longer.
No, dear, I told you that we
I know
must
what you
wait.
told me, been telling me all along, but
But we
you've
must
been
wait.
wrong. We never had it so well as we did in Egypt.
Oh, but
And
we
I'm in
can't go-
favor of going back there if they'll have us.
Going back to Egypt? Why, you
I wouldn't
can't...
blame them if they wouldn't take us back. After all, we've done lots and we should have been...
Now, you listen to me. I don't want to hear any more of this kind of talk. We're not going back to Egypt. We're going forward to the Promised Land.
Back to Egypt or on to the Promised Land, it makes no difference to me. I insist that we wait for Moses no longer. Something's happened to him.
We'll wait until Aaron tells us what to do.
Aaron, he's a wishy-washy leader if ever there was one.
He's the high priest. We must await his decision.
More days and weeks passed, and still Moses and Joshua did not return. Neither was there any word from them.
Do you still think Moses will return?
I don't know what to
The
believe.
people are becoming mighty impatient to be on the way.
I know. I suppose you're right, Mother. I doubt if it's wise to wait any longer. I'm going to join a group who intend to force Aaron to do something about it.
Oh, I knew you'd see it my way.
Aaron! Aaron, come out! I want to talk to you.
One moment, my friend. One moment. Now, what is it you want? Just a minute. Just a minute. Do you have a spokesman who can give me intelligent answers?
I am the spokesman for the people, sir.
What is it they want?
They are dissatisfied with the long absence of Moses.
I can't help that.
Well, Aaron, sir, they think you should give them an image to take the place of Moses.
An image?
The cloud that has been leading us is permanently fixed on top of the mountain. We want an image to lead us.
You know what the commandment says. Thou shalt make no graven images.
Are you with us, Aaron, or against us?
I am the people's representative. What they want, they shall have.
Well, give us an image then. And if we return to Egypt, we'll find favor with the Egyptian by bearing the image before us and claiming it as our God.
The tumult increased. A blind, unreasoning frenzy seemed to take possession of the multitude. Such a crisis demanded a man of firmness, decision, and unflinching courage. Aaron was not such a man. He feared for his own safety. Instead of standing firmly for the honor of God, he yielded to the demands of the multitude.
If I am to make an image, I must have gold and silver. Are you willing to make such a sacrifice? Very well, then. I direct that all the golden earrings be brought to me, that I may cause to be made a golden calf in imitation of the gods of Egypt.
You are a very wise leader, Aaron. This golden calf shall be to us the God which brought us up out of the land of Egypt.
And they arose up early in the morning and offered burnt offerings and brought peace offerings to the golden calf. And the people ate and drank and gave themselves up to gluttony and drunken reveling. It was at this time that Moses' 40 days with God came to an end. He and Joshua started down the mountain, Moses carrying the tables of stone upon which God had written with his own finger the 10 Commandments law.
Moses, sir, do you hear what I hear?
I hear people.
An enemy is attacking our camp, sir.
No, my son. It is not the voice of them that cry for being overcome, but rather the sound of reveling and singing.
Drawing near to the camp, Joshua and Moses behold the people shouting and dancing around the golden calf. It was a scene of heathen riot, an imitation of the idolatrous feasts of Egypt. Entering the camp, Moses passed through the crowd of revelers and, seizing the golden calf, cast it into the fire. Afterwards, he ground it to powder and cast it into the stream that passed through the camp.
People of Israel, you have just seen me sprinkle the golden dust of your calf into this stream. I command that each of you drink of the water of this stream. This will show you that your God of gold is without power, utterly worthless.
When brought before Moses, Aaron tried to make him believe that the golden calf had been the result of a miracle, that he, Aaron, had merely cast the gold into the fire, and there had emerged the calf. But his excuses and prevarications were of no avail. He was justly punished as the chief offender, and all the people of that vast multitude who refused to repent and confess their sins, about 3,000 men, were also properly punished. Even though the people's apostasy came only a few weeks after God had personally spoken to them the commandment, "Thou shalt not make unto me any graven images," he forgave them and continued to be with and bless the children of Israel on their long march to the promised land.